The weird human glitch that makes us procrastinate. Number 1. Emotional regulation. Think about a time you had to do something you absolutely dreaded. Like writing a 10-page paper on the migratory habits of the common pigeon or calling an insurance company. The task itself isn't physically draining, but the thought of it is a mental and emotional marathon. Our brains, in their infinite wisdom, see this as a threat. The negative feelings associated with the task, anxiety, boredom, frustration, are things our subconscious wants to avoid at all costs. Procrastination, in this context, is not a lack of willpower, it's a form of emotional regulation. Your brain is essentially trying to protect you from the pain of doing the thing you hate. It's like your own personal, albeit highly dysfunctional, security guard who solves every problem by just locking the door and pretending it doesn't exist. Instead of facing the paper on pigeon migration, you'll opt for a mindless, dopamine-releasing activity like watching a video about a dog that can skateboard. The immediate, tiny hit of pleasure you get from this distraction is a way to self-soothe and escape the larger, more unpleasant emotional burden. We are, in effect, trading long-term progress for short-term comfort, because our ancient lizard brains are still convinced that any unpleasant feeling is a sign of a looming saber-toothed tiger. Number 2. The overwhelm paradox. You have a big project due. It's looming over you like a thundercloud of responsibility. The sheer size and complexity of it make your brain do a full system reboot, complete with that little spinning wheel of death. This feeling of being overwhelmed is a major catalyst for procrastination. The paradox is this: we feel overwhelmed, so we avoid the task, which only makes the task bigger and more overwhelming, which makes us avoid it even more. It's a vicious cycle that's as predictable as a bad reality TV show. This isn't just about a task being big, though, it's about a lack of a clear starting point. When your brain doesn't know where to begin, it defaults to what it knows best: doing nothing. This is why breaking a large task into smaller, more manageable steps is a common piece of advice. But it's a piece of advice we rarely, if ever, actually take. We'd rather just stare at the mountain of work, feeling paralyzed, and then convince ourselves that watching all 8 seasons of a show we've already seen is a form of mental preparation. It's not laziness, it's a cognitive freeze response. The brain goes, "This is too much, I don't even know where to begin," and then proceeds to do the most efficient thing possible: absolutely nothing. Number 3. The Zeigarnik effect. Have you ever left a puzzle on the table, not because you're completely done with it, but because you've put in enough work that you feel like you can come back to it later without losing your momentum? The same principle applies to why a cliffhanger episode of a TV show is so effective. This is the Zeigarnik effect. Named after a Soviet psychologist who noticed that waiters could remember unpaid orders perfectly but would forget them the moment the bill was settled. Our brains have this deep, primal need for closure. They hold on to unfinished tasks, keeping them in our short-term memory as a kind of annoying mental tab. The problem is, this effect is a double-edged sword. It can be a great motivator. Just starting a task, any task, can create enough mental friction to make you want to finish it. But it's also why you might find yourself doom-scrolling on social media for an hour instead of getting started on that big project. Your brain has created a mental checklist of things to do. But instead of tackling the one that matters, it'll try to find a million little, easy tasks to scratch that closure itch. You'll organize your sock drawer, alphabetize your spice rack, or meticulously clean your keyboard, anything to get that dopamine hit of completing a task, no matter how insignificant. Number 4. The feeling fallacy. You've heard the advice 1,000 times: just get started. You'll feel motivated once you begin. And that's a great idea, in theory, but the reality is, we often wait for the feeling of motivation to arrive before we even think about tackling a task. We tell ourselves, "I'm just not in the mood to do this right now. I'll feel more like it tomorrow." This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how human psychology works. We tend to believe that action follows motivation. But more often than not, it's the other way around. Action creates motivation. Think about going to the gym. No one, and I mean no one, wakes up at 5 a.m. on a Tuesday morning feeling a deep, burning desire to get on an elliptical. You go, you start moving, and then, after 5 minutes, your brain releases a little hit of dopamine and a whole slew of feel-good endorphins. It's a classic chicken and egg problem. And our default human setting is to wait for the chicken to show up on its own, fully cooked and ready to eat, before we even crack the egg. Procrastination is the result of us waiting for a feeling that we have to create ourselves. And it's a feeling that will almost never magically appear out of thin air. It's like waiting for the perfect weather before you plant a garden, knowing full well that you're the one who needs to water the seeds. Number 5. Identity and self-handicapping. Imagine you have a big presentation coming up, and you're worried you might not do well. Instead of preparing, you pull an all-nighter watching old movies. You show up to the presentation tired and unprepared. And, to no one's surprise, you bomb it. Afterward, you think, well, I didn't fail because I'm not smart, I failed because I didn't get enough sleep. This is self-handicapping, a sneaky psychological trick we play on ourselves to protect our ego. We deliberately create obstacles that provide a built-in excuse for failure. By procrastinating, we create a convenient narrative. I didn't fail because I'm incompetent, I failed because I didn't have enough time. This allows us to maintain a positive self-image, even when we don't perform our best. It's a way of controlling the narrative of our own lives. We'd rather be seen as someone who could have succeeded but chose not to try, than someone who tried their hardest and still failed. It's a toxic, self-sabotaging coping mechanism that gives us a temporary feeling of control while guaranteeing a long-term feeling of regret. We become the director of our own personal tragedy, meticulously setting the stage for our own downfall just so we can have a good excuse when the curtain falls. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.